Stein, and this is Lucy Cecil.
Though I have never really thought it as life impacting, I have been bullied before in my life, and I think many others can also relate. To this day, by Shane Koizen, a theme is portrayed of how easily kids can be molded or manipulated into thinking that those who mistreated them were right, or that they deserved to be treated this way. But this poem also shows how we can grow stronger than what we were told, and we don't have to be what we were told. When I was a kid, I used to think that pork chops and karate chops were the same thing. I thought they were both pork chops. And because my grandmother thought it was cute, and because they were my favorite, she let me keep doing it, no big deal. One day, before I realized fat kids were not designed to climb trees, I fell out of a tree and bruised the right side of my body. I didn't want to tell my grandmother because I was afraid I would get in trouble for playing somewhere I shouldn't have been. A few days later, a gym teacher noticed the bruise, and I got sent to the principal's office, and from there, another smaller room with a really nice lady who asked me all kinds of questions about my life at home. I saw no reason to lie. As far as I was concerned, life was pretty good. I told her, when I'm sad, my grandmother gives me karate chops. This led to a full-scale investigation, and I was removed from the house for 3 days until someone finally decided to ask how I got the bruises. News of this silly little story quickly spread around school, and I earned my first nickname, Pork Chop. To this day, I hate pork chops. I'm not the only kid who grew up this way, surrounded by people who used to tell the rhyme about sticks and stones as if broken bones hurt more than the names we were called, and we were called them all. So we grew up believing no one would ever love us, that we'd be lonely forever, that we'd never meet someone to make us feel like the sun was something they had built for us in their tool shed. So broken heartstrings bled the blues as we tried to empty ourselves so we would feel nothing. Don't tell me that hurts more than a broken bone, that an ingrown life is something surgeons can cut away, that there's no way for it to metastasize. It does. She was 8, our first day of grade 3, when she got called ugly. We got moved to the back of class so we would stop getting bombarded by spitballs, but the school halls were a battleground where we found ourselves outnumbered day after wretched day. We used to stay inside for recess because outside was worse. Outside, we'd have to rehearse running away or learn to stay still like statues, giving no clue we were there. In grade 5, they taped a sign to the front of her desk that read, "Beware of dog." And to this day, despite a loving husband, she still doesn't think she's beautiful because of a birthmark that takes up a little less than half her face. Kids used to say she looks like a wrong answer that someone tried to erase but couldn't quite get the job done. And they'll never understand that she's raising 2 kids whose definition of beauty begins with the word mom because they see her heart before they see her skin, that she's only ever always been amazing. He was a broken branch, grafted into a different family tree, adopted. But not because his parents opted for a different destiny. He was 3 when he became a mixed drink of 1 part left alone and 2 parts tragedy, started therapy in 8th grade, had a personality made of tests and pills, lived like the uphills were mountains and the downhills were cliffs, 4/5 suicidal, a tidal wave of antidepressants, and an adolescence of being called pauper. 1 part because of the pills and 99 parts because of the cruelty. To this day, he is a stick of TNT lit from both ends, could describe to you in detail the way the sky bends in the moments before it's about to fall. And despite an army of friends who all call him an inspiration, he remains the conversation piece between people that can never understand that sometimes being drug-free has less to do with addiction and more to do with sanity. We're not the only kids who grew up this way. To this day, kids are still being called names. The classics were, "Hey stupid," "Hey spaz." Seems like every school has an arsenal of nicknames getting updated each year. And if a kid breaks into school and no one around chooses to hear, do they make a sound? Are they just background noise on a track stuck on repeat when people say things like kids can be cruel? Every school was a big top circus, and the pecking order went from acrobats to lion tamers, from clowns to carnies, all of these miles ahead of what we were. We were freaks. Lobster-clawed boys, bearded ladies, oddities, juggling depression, playing solitaire and spin the bottle, trying to kiss the wounded parts of ourselves. But at night, while the others slept. We kept walking the tightrope. It was practice, and yes, some of us fell, but I want to tell them that all of this is just debris left over from when we finally decide to smash all the things we thought we used to be. And if you can't see anything beautiful about yourself, get a better mirror. Look a little closer, stare a little longer, because there's something inside of you that made you keep trying despite everyone who told you to quit. You built a cast around your broken heart. You signed it yourself. You signed it. They were wrong. Because maybe you didn't belong to a group or a clique. Maybe they decided to pick you last for basketball or everything. Maybe you brought bruises and broken teeth to show and tell, but never told, because how can you hold your ground when everyone around you wants to bury you beneath it? You have to believe they were wrong. They have to be wrong. Why else would we still be here? We grew up learning to cheer on the underdogs because we see ourselves in them. We stem from the root planted in the belief that we are not what we are called. We are not cars sitting out empty on some abandoned highway. And if in some way we are, don't worry. We only got out to walk and get gas. We are graduating members from the class of We Made It. Not the faded echoes of voices crying out names will never hurt me. Of course they did. But our lives will only ever always continue to be a balancing act that has less to do with pain and more to do with beauty. Thank you.